Okay, I got a ghost story for you. Lana and I are living in Staten Island. It's 2001. That's a ghost story in itself. But I'm working on a song called Human Wheel. And I had the chorus, and I didn't have a verse. And I was having a real hard time with it. I had the chorus, and I liked that. And the chorus was, now I'm part of that human wheel, and it turns my fate. Now I'm part of that human wheel, hope it turns my way. So I was like, well, that's pretty cool. And, I'll work on the verse and, come up with a song on it. No problem. So a few weeks later, I still got nothing. I'm really struggling. I'm having like my first bout of writer's block, I think. Usually things would come to me even if they don't make sense. I could write a crappy song at least. But just really struggling with this one and just getting tired of playing the rhythm, to be honest. So I recorded the rhythm one night on a little cassette and grabbed my Walkman and just put it in my headphones and just was, decided to take a walk and listen to it and just, had the melody for the verse, but no lyrics. So I'm walking up Victory Boulevard in Staten Island. There's a lot of high trees and it's beautiful. It's kind of very rural area. You can see the city from where we were at on the top of the hill, but yeah, it's, trees everywhere. And I think it was cold, bundled up and walking. I go get a coffee and I'm just listening to this song, listening to this, Human Wheel verse in my headphones and just humming the melody along that I had and trying to come up with lyrics. So not coming up with anything still and just getting really discouraged. And, it's like a mile I think I was walking back and not really paying attention and just, kept trying and trying like usually, just keep working on it and something usually hits. And next thing you know, sure enough, these lyrics just pop in my head, kind of like they do normally, but it was strange because the lyrics were like really fluent and just, spoke to me as if someone was, reciting it to me. It just came into my head and I started singing them along with the melody in my headphones. And it was spinning in my head, my thoughts like planets, some alive and some are dead, and some the light ain't reached me yet. Digging in my heart, my blood's like dirt, some is red and some is hard, and some is turned to mud for you. And I'm like, that's pretty cool, man. I'm not even that smart, to write lyrics like that. I was like, that's coming from somewhere else. And I look to my right and realize I'm walking right past the Staten Island Cemetery. And talk about a chill going up your spine, man. It freaked me out. I was honestly just scared at that point, but I loved the lyrics, and I was like, okay, spinning in my head, my thoughts like planets, some alive, some are dead. I'm walking, and I just bolted home basically, and went home, and with that inspiration, wrote the rest of the song that night. I wrote 2 more verses, and I had the chorus, like I said, and I was like really happy with it, but I couldn't stop thinking about what happened. So Lana comes home, and I play it for her, and I tell her the story, and she's like, yeah, this is interesting. American sees ghost. It's very very unusual, but very typical at the same time. That's how she sounds. Not really. But she had the great idea to go back the next day and look around the graveyard to see who it was that helped me write the song. And I was so freaked out from that happening. I didn't want to go back even near there. I felt, pretty scared, to be honest. But sure enough, we went back the next day, and right where those lyrics hit me, we look over, and there's a bunch of like unmarked graves that weren't kind of nondescript, was nothing that looked very interesting. But there was a kind of a tomb there and a bigger grave that stood out. It was right where those lyrics came to me, spinning in my head, my thoughts like planets, some alive or some are dead. And it's a guy named Richard Adams Locke. So we, jot the name down and go home and Google him, and it turns out he wrote for a newspaper in New York City in 1830 and came up with what's called the moon hoax. It was like a huge, scandal at the time. Everybody believed it. He wrote about this scientist that had a telescope that could see the moon, and there's all these bat people and goats and all sorts of weird shit. I'll put the link down below. You can see what this guy came up with. It was like 6 different articles that ran for weeks, and everybody was believing it. And he kind of cited this other scientist at the time that was really famous for his telescope work or whatever, and basically the huge scandal turned out to be a big hoax. And this guy Richard Adams Locke had written a bunch of other stories, and it just freaked me out. So think of the lyrics and the story he has about the moon hoax, and then the lyrics that came to me walking past his grave are spinning in my head, my thoughts like planets, some alive and some are dead, and some the light ain't reached me yet. And digging in my heart, my blood's like dirt, some is red, some is hard, and some has turned to mud for you. And man, it gives me chills just to think about it now. But so thanks to Richard Adams Locke for the co-write. That's the original ghostwriter. I got a good friend, Joey Parks, who's an actual great ghostwriter, real ghostwriter. But I think this guy's the original Joey. So he's an actual ghostwriter. So just imagine Mr. Locke as he's been sitting in this tomb for a couple hundred years and just bored shitless and bored stiff, and then struggling songwriter walks by, working on a verse. He can't come up with a verse, and look at this guy, hey, let me help you. Spinning in my head, my thoughts like planets, some alive and some are dead. Richard Adams Locke, you're welcome. Just imagine this guy. He saw me as like a perfect victim to recite these lyrics to as I walk by. So anyway, I always give him credit for the co-write on this one. So I'll play the song now. We ended up recording it a couple years later when I got back to Phoenix, and it's on a record we produced as a band, Broken Poets, me and a couple other guys. Paul Rugolo is a great bass player on this record, and he's still friends on Facebook. Hey, Paul. And Dave Raheb on drums did a great job. Clarke Rigsby mixed this record, so it really sounds amazing. And let's see, we recorded it in an old barn, kind of scary old barn out in Lehigh, Arizona, which is a real cool place. Mike Coleman had a place called Orangewood Studios. I'm not sure if that's still around, but pretty neat studio. But I think the recording turned out pretty good. I have had better vocal takes, that's for sure, but great rhythm section and mix on this. And I'll play the song for you now, but happy Halloween.
Thoughts like planets, some alive and some are dead. Some that light ain't reached me yet. And digging in my heart, my blood's like dirt. Some is red, some is hard, some has turned to mud for you. Now I'm part of that human wheel, and it turns my now I'm part of that human wheel. Hope it turns my way. And somewhere in that house, my past, it lives and breathes without me, as if it somehow lives without me there. And somewhere down that block where trouble wins, it always comes around to talk again. Well, trouble now it seems to start without me. to move beyond the myth of luck. Well, maybe it's just luck to you. And somewhere in the end, my soul, it learns to move beyond the myth of life. Well, is it just this life too?